With Linda Cardellini, who previously starred in a light-hearted, frothy comedy called Bloodline for Netflix, featuring dancing babies and aliens. But so let's talk about going from Bloodline right into production on this and how that worked out for you.
Well, I was shooting Bloodline for almost...
Which is a super intense murder mystery drama.
Yes, it's a very, very intense drama, which gets more and more intense by the end of the season. And I had been shooting it for almost 8 months. And by the last day, we did an all-nighter, which was this like super high drama at a very high pitch. And then I left on that Friday and moved to New Orleans from South Florida and started a broad comedy on Monday. So it was, I didn't have very much time in between, but it was great. I got to do something completely different.
What about playing Sarah appealed to you, aside from being with those two talentless hacks?
Yes, well, first and foremost, it was those guys. Yeah. And I had worked with Will. He was, as a producer, he produced a movie I was in called Welcome to Me with Kristen Wiig. And they liked what I did in that, and they started talking to me about this movie, and it sounded amazing to me. I mean, I love the chemistry that the two guys have together. I think it's really, really unique, and I just liked watching the two of them together and the other guys, and I thought how much fun it would be to be in the middle of that. And then when I looked at the character, I really liked that she was a person who seemed like she was cool. You know, she was a mom who was very serious about being a mom. She works. And she has to deal with these two men in her life.
These idiots, basically.
Yeah, and they're acting like idiots, and she's the sane person. And the idea that, you know, they're acting insecure and anxiety-ridden and crazy and hysterical, and in the middle is this woman who's, you know, kind of got it together.
And all of you have kids in real life, so did that make production easier when you're corralling kids?
Yeah, I think you can deal with children differently once you have one, because you know it in a way that you never knew it before. But the kids were fantastic. I mean, they were incredibly talented. When you see the movie, they're so good in the movie. They're so sweet and so cute and so funny in real life too. That it was, and they were so cute. Last night was the premiere, and they were so cute, dressed up in they're just such beautiful children.
Their little fancy outfits.
Yeah, they're such beautiful children, and they're so great in the movie. And you know, the guys were great with him. You know, they loved the guys, and you know, Mark was like a big kid with them. It was great.
Which scene was the toughest for you to shoot in terms of keeping a straight face?
There's so much that didn't make it into the movie that was so funny, because, you know, of course you have 90 minutes and they sort of pick what's the best that works in the film. But there were so many ad-libs, and I think that every scene that we did, we improv'd to some extent. And you know, there's just incredibly funny things that happen. There's a scene where we're in the fertility doctor's office, and one of the lines did make it in there. And when you see the movie, when you hear this line that Will comes out with, it just made me laugh so hard. I don't want to say it because then I'll give away the punchline, but it was really hard to keep a straight face, especially because in that scene, both men have their pants down. Which, you know, as a woman, I was getting to stand there fully clothed, which was great.
Oh, that's actually a nice little change.
Yeah, things are changing.
Did you guys have an instant vibe on set with the two guys?
Did you
guys have an instant vibe with the two guys? That's terrible English. Did you instantly connect with Will and Mark?
I understood what you meant. I can understand that kind of English.
But still, that's horrible English, and I apologize.
But we did. It was great. It was easy, you know. And I have a great character to play in the middle there, and so it was fun. I'm sort of, you know, they're competing over me, and so it was nice. It was nice to be in the middle of that. It was very easy.
Did you see anything of yourself in Sarah?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, I'm a working mom. I think, you know, I am a protective mother by nature. I think that I try to be sane. And I think, you know, what I thought was cool about the character, I don't know necessarily if it speaks to me or not, but the idea that here's this woman who was once with the bad boy, who fell for the bad boy charm, and then she finds somebody who she's really like in love with, and you know, in the second go around finds somebody who makes her family really great. And I thought that was an interesting look at the wife in these movies, you know, playing the quote unquote wife, which I have no problem with. I think women we're wives, we're sisters, we're daughters. I've played all of those things. We're mothers, but making that sort of giving her a history and giving her more texture, I really enjoyed that about the character.
And also, it was nice to see, I mean, granted, this is far more heightened than I would hope anyone has to deal with with real-life families, but I mean, there are always the parents. I mean, I know I compete for my son's affections by, I'm like, I'm going to take you to this premiere with this person, and you're going to think I'm the coolest parent ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's definitely, between mom and dad, and that you don't really truly want them to have an actual favorite, but there's always like, who's your favorite?
Yeah, who's the cool one?
Yeah, who's the cool one? Yeah, so, and that goes back and forth for us.
Are you the cool mom or the disciplinarian?
I thought I would be more strict, and it turns out that sometimes I'm a I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker. My daughter, I have 3, is a brilliant manipulator and a negotiator, and she's amazing. I really admire that about her. About her. I can learn a few things.
No, my son too. Like sometimes the stuff he says. Well, I told you one thing he said back there, which we're not going to repeat. But some of the stuff he says, I'm like, you win. Like you win.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah,
it's a wrap.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What is it like going from something you absolutely could not talk about to something you can actually promote?
It's pretty fun. I'm not used to the freedom yet. The last few things that I've been on, you can't tell anything about the storyline, and you can't. I remember when I got the job and I was doing press for Bloodline, or I somehow, and I remember asking the producers, "Can I talk about it? Can I?" They said, "Sure." It's already out in the press what the movie's about. And I thought, what a relief! I can actually say that I'm in something and what it's about.
I talked to Linda for Bloodline, and I remember, and I talked to Kyle Chandler and Ben Mendelsohn after, and I remember like it was this 2-hour chunk of time in which literally nothing could be said. I was like, "So, did you enjoy playing your character?" Yes, she's a complicated being. I think that was pretty much as deep as it got.
Well, they're both so great in the show, and so they probably just don't want to give anything away because you work so hard to make it surprising, And then on Netflix, it's all out at once, so you never know how well that sort of the spoilers will keep from being spoiled.
Is there anything you can say about season 2 without Netflix coming up here and like dragging you off stage?
I will say that this, the end of the first season. The beginning of the first season starts in sort of a slower manner, and then what I loved what the guys did with the show, which I thought was really interesting, because the show plays as a whole, in the 13 hours, is that the genre and the pace and even the feel of all the different characters, it changes by the end of the season. And this season picks up where we left off, so that pace is it's still at that sort of fever pitch.
And shooting in Florida is obviously joyous and amazing and wonderful.
Shooting what's that?
In Florida.
Yes. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And last year we shot for so long that we were there we mostly shot in the summer, and it's really, really hot there. And now we are there right now, which is
the perfect time to be there.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. The snowbirds come there for a reason. Or so they say. That's what I hear. That's where they go. I didn't know what a snowbird was really until recently because I grew up in California. But yeah, so the weather is gorgeous.
You really have kind of an enviable career going.
Oh, thank
between
you.
this.
Thank you.
You're doing big studio comedy, The Avengers, Bloodline, which is a critical favorite. How do you pick your roles? Do you try to kind of, you did a Bloodline, now you want to do something lighter and just...
Yeah, I think I've been really, really fortunate, and I'm really excited about it. I've been in the business for a long time, and I'm still just really enjoying things, and I get to work with. It seems to just keep getting better and better, and I'm really excited about that. Choosing people to work with, I think, is part of it. I like to work with great people, but most of all, it's the script and the character, and whether or not I believe I can bring something to it that is unique and speaks to me.
And let's talk about your first day on set for this movie. What was that like? Do you remember?
My first day on set. God, what the hell? I always tell myself I'm going to keep a journal and remind myself of all the wonderful, funny things that happen. And because once you do the movie, when you do press for the movie, it's been 6 months or so, and you forget everything that you think you're going to remember.
And you go on talk shows, and they're like, "Let's talk about this anecdote," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah. So I always say I'm going to keep a journal, but then I never do. But luckily, I do it with my daughter. I keep a journal of the funny things she says. But I think the first day of shooting was maybe it was a scene with Mark I have on the steps after sort of things have fallen apart, and And the scene ends up working because I was actually really tired on that day, but the scene ends up working because she's sort of exhausted of the two men. So that exhaustion actually informed the performance and helped me out. Although it was hard for me to remember my lines.
Well, I mean, you did go from Bloodline to this, so I don't even know how you did that with a child, in tow.
And my daughter was not even 3 yet.
Yeah, so I don't. Props to you for that.
Thank you. I was looking for that compliment. Thank you.
And we were actually all admiring your shoes back there. Tom
Really?
Ford?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Kurt Geiger.
Oh, See, I won that bet. What was the biggest challenge for you with this movie? Was there a challenge? Or was it just like super fun?
It was pretty fun. I think there was a moment where we were all sort of pinching ourselves because everybody was fun on set. You know, it was a group of people who really wanted to be there and were having fun doing what they were doing and are excellent at what they do. You know, these guys are so great. And, you know, standing there and improvising with Will Ferrell is
Not a bad way to go.
Well, he's just great at it. He's amazing at it. So it's so much fun to be on that playground and playing with those kids and those toys, you know?
What were your favorite comedies growing up?
My favorite comedies growing up, Ghostbusters, easily. Let's see, you know, I love Meatballs, like a bit, yeah. Let's see, Vacation, Three Amigos, I loved.
Three
Amigos. I'm trying to think of what else. You know, I was a huge fan of. Was sort of like the airplane style movies as well, and Top Secret. I remember loving Val Kilmer in that movie before he was even in Top Gun.
Yeah, I remember the airplane movies were pretty amazing.
Yeah, and they're so fun as a young person too, like to quote all those things. You know, it's kind of crazy. I'm trying to think of what else I liked. What else was around?
Actually, I'm drawing a total
1
blank.
million years ago. What else was around?
When we were growing up.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to my son that back then there was no on-demand. You couldn't just say, I want to watch Transformers. And
No.
you pull it up. He was like, what?
Yeah.
Then how did you watch TV? I was like, well, there were 3 shows on at night, and that's what you watched.
Yeah.
Like, that was it.
3 shows?
Well, like per network. I mean,
per network. Okay.
Like Dynasty was on, like Thursdays or whatever, and that's, you know.
I don't know. I
used
didn't
to
watch
sneak and watch
Dynasty.
it. So, yeah.
I did watch soap operas, though, with my grandmother when I was a kid, which I learned to do this. I learned to lift one eyebrow. Watching a soap opera because Hope on Days of Our Lives could lift one eyebrow. And I remember practicing it in the mirror 1,000 times trying to lift this eyebrow.
Look at me. Oh, yeah. You have to hold this one down. Yeah.
I can't do this one yet, though. It's taken me several decades to try to get this one.
So you're halfway through the 2nd season of Bloodline now, roughly.
Yes.
What do you want to do next? Take a whole long vacation?
Yeah, a vacation would be nice. But no, I love working. And things are going, you know, so...
Swimmingly.
Yeah, things are going... I'm having a great time right now. So, you know, I hope to do something that's different than the last thing I've done. That's part of what I try to do in my career is try to do something that's different from the thing I just came from. And hopefully that will work.
Is there any dream co-star that you have in mind?
Dream co-star. I don't know. There's so many great actors. It's just, you know, it depends on what it is. You know, I just did a movie with Michael Keaton. And
I've never heard of him. Who is he?
Yeah, you should check him out. He's pretty good.
You think he has a future?
What's that?
You think he has a future in acting?
Yeah, I think he might catch on.
All right, cool.
But yeah, I did this movie called The Founder about the story of McDonald's, and I played the late Joan Kroc. And just working with Michael Keaton, you know, that was one person that I really wanted to work with in my life, and it was just that was pretty amazing.
I hope you kept a journal of that at least.
I didn't.
Like a private Instagram account.
No, I didn't.
Because you know, a year from now, I'm going to be like, so talk about working with Michael Keaton, and you're going to be like, it was nice.
I have really, really a bad memory, which is funny because I have to memorize lines for a living. But it stays for a short time, and then it goes forever.
How do you do it? I mean, you're on set all day. You have a fiance and a kid. Do you like lay in bed at night and memorize, or is it on the way to work? I mean, like in all seriousness, I don't know.
It can be any of those things, you know. It's sometimes like after working like 12, 14 hours, you're like, oh God, I gotta go home and do my homework. It feels like sometimes you're in school. I mean, if you're lucky, you can do it on the fly very quickly, but some scenes are harder than others. And, sometimes, you get the material later than others. Sometimes you have the material, you sit with it for a long time, like a movie script, you have the material and you know it from beginning, middle to end. But with a series, especially week to week, you don't necessarily know we shoot one episode in about 9 days, but you don't necessarily know what's coming up for your character. So that is sort of learning on the fly. It's a different process. But, I used to have my fiance help me and go over the lines with me, but he loves the show so much. He loves Bloodline so much, and he likes to watch the movies and not know anything about them. So he does it. So I try to keep it from him now because I want him to be surprised. Otherwise, he knows everything that happens.
Yeah.
So I have a tape recorder, and I sort of leave a pause, and I just go back and forth on the tape recorder.
I don't know
now.
how you do it. Like, my brain is a sieve after having a child.
Yeah,
like, it's really hard.
It did get a little. I mean, I think it's the lack of sleep. I think once you have a kid, you don't sleep the same way. I mean, people tell you that, but you don't necessarily believe that. Yeah, but it is, I think, possibly really true. And so I think that lack of sleep makes it harder to remember things.
So, with Daddy's Home, tell me one thing that surprised you the most about working with each of these guys.
They're incredibly professional. They're there for the first shot of the day and the last shot of the day.
Will Ferrell, I hope you're listening. You're incredibly professional.
He is, though. I mean, the guys, and he's also producing the movie, and he's wearing like a bunch of different hats. I mean, you don't underestimate, how crazy talented that actually both of them are incredible businessmen. They're incredibly talented, and they have a very strong business mind, which I think those two things they don't always go together. So I really admired that about both of them.
And in terms of directors, I mean, you said that that's one of the things that you really look for. Well, actually, let me ask you this first: do you want to ever direct?
That I didn't think so. I'm not as I would like to write and possibly produce and directing. I've thought more about it recently, but I don't know. I don't know that I'm as visual as a person as some of the directors are, and so we'll see.
Would you ever direct an episode of Bloodline?
I would like to, but they're pretty heavy. Those are pretty heavy. I don't know, and then you have to prep, so that takes, I love the acting. So I think when you direct too, you wear a lot of hats. I don't know that I don't know that I can concentrate on that many things at once, but any of it would be fun. As I've grown in this business and sort of after being in the business for so many years, it would be fun to try it all. But I want to make sure that I can do it well, or at least adequately.
Well, I think you're doing a pretty good job. But if you could go back to Freaks and Geeks right now, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, I would give. Wow, that's. I had a great time making that show, But as with anything, you can let you can worry yourself too much, and so I think my advice for myself, almost with every job, is just relax, relax. Not necessarily in the actual work, but in thinking about the work. Sometimes you can get a little self-critical. So I would try to turn that down a notch.
Are you able to watch yourself?
Sometimes. I mean, it's always hard. The thing I like when I do watch something that I've been in is that it really does take a village. And when you look around at all the people who are doing all of the work, I think that it's pretty amazing to see what actually ends up on screen, which doesn't have a lot to do with me. I'm doing my small part of it. But seeing something in completion, I think is kind of exciting because all of the people who put in the time. When the credits roll, each and every name sort of means something to you. So I like that about what I do. I like the community of it, and so to be able to watch something, if I can sort of shut off the self-criticism, is fun for me because it's an accomplishment that we made. Not just me as an actor, but everybody who's been involved.
And if there's one lesson learned from this specific movie, what do you think it was?
You mean as a performer or as
just
in the movie
general.
itself?
Just like when it wrapped, like if what did you take away?
Boy, that's a good question. I think there's lots of things I took away from it, but it was really a great experience. And we saw the movie last night, and at the premiere, and people were laughing and clapping, and there's something really special about being in a big comedy like this that I hadn't experienced in a long time, and it felt really, really great. Is sort of the movie makes you kind of feel good, and that was a really wonderful thing to be part of. And I'm excited about it for that reason.
And you said you flew your parents in, and the whole
I
family was
did.
there,
I
which
did.
is
I did
really
with the
great.
Avengers. I was telling you, when I was in the Avengers, I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. So most of my family was surprised in the movie theater and stood up and yelled, "That's Linda," when they saw it themselves. But for this movie, I knew, and so I made sure to be. When I went to the premiere last time for the Avengers, it was the last big premiere I got to go to, and I wasn't really able to bring anybody with me. So this time I flew out my mom and my dad and my aunt, and my cousins came, and I had just a row filled with people because I was going to take advantage of being able to sit there and celebrate it with them.
Well, awesome. And this is a great segue to our audience questions.
Hi.
Starting out right there.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
So I know it's been a while, but I just have to say, Legally Blonde, I thought it was you walking through the door. I mean, that scene still plays in my head. That's just a movie that you can watch all the time and not get sick of it. So I was wondering, back to Daddy's Home, do you share any similarities with your character?
My character in Chutney in Legally Blonde, not so much. Except for that was my real hair, and they used a curling iron. But with my character in Daddy's Home, I'm a mom now, and it's funny now because I've played a mom before I actually was a mom, and I need to go back and look at that and see was I doing things that I would agree with. But I think that is I relate to that now, and I also I really. I think that she is a smart person who has a history, and now she has a family. And I feel like I waited for a long time to have my family, and happily I have found such a wonderful family. I have a wonderful partner and a child, and I feel like I have some sort of some wisdom gathered and some history that happened before that, like this character.
And on the other side.
Hi. I saw you in Scooby-Doo, so I'm a really big fan since then.
Thank you.
I also saw you in Welcome to Me, and it was really refreshing to see like a different side of your acting, so I'm just wondering, what do you prefer, drama or comedy?
I really like them both, and I'm so fortunate to get to work in them both. It's so funny when I leave Bloodline, I was like, "Oh, you get to go do a comedy. You're so lucky," and I really do. I am. I'm so lucky. I get to go do something really fun and really different. I really love them both, though, and it really boils down to character. With something like Scooby-Doo, I really enjoyed that was a huge, broad comedy. And it's geared towards children, but at the same time, I'm not playing an idiot. I'm playing this person who's like a really smart young woman who happens to just be a little bit, over the top.
An alternate universe.
Yeah. So that part was fun for me. Also, in the last question, I didn't mean to say that I relate because I'm smart. That was not what I meant. I just meant that I liked the character for that reason, and I related for other reasons.
And also that she made the right choice. Like, a lot of people, I think everyone has the bad boy kind of, like you're smitten with the bad boy and the rebel, and she was like, I'm done.
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about her, too, is that she was wise
to
enough to know that this is not going to work on me anymore. And his charm is sort of working on everybody. Mark Wahlberg's dusty charm is working on everybody but my character, which is nice.
Hi, Linda. Thank you for
Hi.
coming. My question is, what do you feel are the biggest misconceptions about acting?
And by the way, I love your hat.
Thank you.
Yeah. The misconceptions about acting. I think that the idea that it gets easier. I think I thought that it would get easier as you continued doing it. That your career choices would be easier. I think it stays the same but changes in that way. And I think that there is no one way to go about it. I remember when I was first starting out, I was sort of thinking like, oh, there's this way, like so-and-so did it this way. They burst into this audition and they got discovered, so that's what I have to do. Or so-and-so was so in character that they broke a plate over someone's head, and that's what you have to do. There is no one way to be good or to succeed. Or to win a role, or to do any of the things that you really want to do as an aspiring actor. I think that there are many, many ways to do it, and the most important thing is that you do it your way. And I think that can be very difficult because you're in a business that is constantly judging you, and so you're trying to figure out how the best way not to get hurt by that, or put aside for that. And it's actually the one thing that you get to have going for you is whatever makes you unique, which might lose you some parts but gain you others that will be sort of unforgettable because they're entirely yours. That helps. I don't know.
Hi.
Hi.
So one of the biggest things I think they teach in acting school is living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. But for example, like you're a mom now and you're playing a mom, and how does that differ from not living truthfully, not in an imaginary circumstance? You know, something that you can actually real life relate to and play it that way.
I think every role's a little bit of both for me personally. I mean, they're always imaginary circumstances, and because even though I have a child, my children, I'm not going through the same thing, I'm not a divorced mother with a new with a step parent and all that kind of stuff. But I think, things, for instance, I watch my child growing, and I notice that everything she hears and everything she sees influences who she is. And then she interprets it in her own special and different way, and the world is then unique to her in that way. But everything is sort of absorbed. And I think that's how we are as people. And I think, when you come to a character, there is something that speaks to you that is from you. And then you put that into your imaginary situation. And, for me, you try to keep your mind alive with as many imaginary things while you're listening and talking and doing so that you can always try to be truthful to whatever is that's happening in the situation. Sometimes it's easier than others.
And we have time for one more question, please.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Me and my brother are fans of Gravity Falls, so
Oh,
I
great.
found out that you were in it. It was pretty cool.
Thank you. Yes, I still get to be a disgruntled teenager somewhere.
So what was the experience like for you working on that show, and do you have anything to say about the upcoming finale?
I don't know anything about the finales, so much as to, I know a little bit of what I've said, but other than that, Alex puts them all together in such a crazy and unique, beautiful way. He's really, really talented, and to be part of that show has been a treat. Jason Ritter and Christian Shaw and all the people who are in it, they're so good. The characters are so endearing, and the story is so layered because of the way that Alex does it. And so it's been really, really fun. And Alex is always on the line, and he's always there, sort of helping you through it and telling you what's happening. And he has a real voice. I mean, literally, he has two real voices on it. He's Seuss and he's Grunkle Stan. So he really has a strong voice in it. But he's also always there, and he's incredibly gracious to me, and I think to all the talent on the show. He's always so grateful that we're there, and of course, I'm grateful to be there. And it was something that I really started doing when I was pregnant. I really started diving into sort of to voiceovers because there was of course less on-camera work for a pregnant lady. So that was something that happened during that time, and I'm very grateful for it. It's been fun.
And I just want to end this by saying you are one of the loveliest people I've ever had the pleasure to interview.
Wow, thank you.
And just to share a little story about Will Ferrell, I have one of my best friends from high school, loves him, is a crazy fan. She was in New York, and we went to a premiere, and I cannot remember for the life of me what premiere it was because, as I said, moms, your brain is a sieve.
Yes,
so
you're forgiven.
She gets a plate of food, sees Will Ferrell coming up next to her, and cracks the plate because she's so excited to see him, cracks it in her hand, and she almost starts crying. And he walks up to her, and he was like, honey, it's okay. Let me take the plate from you. Do you want to just sit down and talk for a minute? And she was like, but you're Will Ferrell. And he was like, I know, and it's okay. And to this day, she'll email me being like, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, he's great.
And he really does seem to be that kind of guy.
He is. He absolutely is. He's terrific. And that's part of his producerial skills that you didn't know you had. He can manage things.
He can manage fans cracking plates and excitement. Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you.